The night was silent except for the sound of a woman's muffled sobs. She sat on the velvet couch of a mansion that wasn't hers anymore, not in her heart, not in her soul. The man she once called her husband stood only a few feet away, his hands entwined with another woman's, his lips brushing her neck, while cameras caught every intimate detail. The cruelty wasn't in the betrayal alone, it was in the way he forced his pregnant wife, heavy with child and trembling with exhaustion, to watch him flaunt his mistress. She didn't yet know the full extent of the nightmare. She didn't know that every shiver of her body, every tear falling from her eyes, every second of her humiliation was being streamed live, straight to the board of directors of his billion-dollar company. If you believe that kindness and second chances still matter in this world, I invite you to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. It helps us bring you more powerful tales like this one. Her name was Elena. She had once been the heart of the household, the bright light that made the mansion feel like a home. When she first married Adrian, the millionaire entrepreneur, she believed she had stepped into a fairy tale. He was charming, brilliant, and decisive, the kind of man who could command a room with his presence. She fell in love with his vision and his laughter, never imagining that the same charisma would one day be twisted into cruelty. Adrian changed slowly at first, so subtly that Elena kept excusing his coldness as stress, his absence as work, his sharp words as fatigue. But soon, the man who once kissed her forehead at dawn began returning home with the scent of another woman's perfume on his shirts. The tenderness that made her feel cherished was replaced by disdain, as though her growing belly was a burden to him instead of a blessing. And when Elena questioned him gently, he laughed, dismissing her as emotional, as weak, as paranoid. The night of her deepest humiliation was carefully staged. Adrian wanted control. He wanted domination. He wanted to break the fragile hope still clinging to Elena's heart. He made her dress up in silk, sat her down in the living room, and told her she needed to learn her place. Then, in front of her, he pulled his mistress into his arms, an icy, sharp-featured woman with eyes that glimmered like knives. Elena sat frozen, her hands on her swollen stomach, silently begging her child not to feel the anguish shaking her soul. But what she didn't know was that Adrian had a darker plan. Behind the walls, hidden in the corners of the room, cameras recorded everything. He was live-streaming the entire sordid performance to the board members of his company. His twisted goal was to show them his power, that he was untouchable, that he could humiliate and control anyone, even the woman carrying his heir. His arrogance blinded him to one fatal flaw. Sometimes, cruelty plants the very seeds of downfall. Elena discovered the truth only hours later, when she overheard his mistress mocking her. "Your directors must think you're ruthless," the woman laughed, sipping champagne. "Humiliating your pregnant wife like a broken doll. That's branding no PR firm could buy." Her breath caught. Her chest tightened. She realized then that she wasn't just a wife betrayed. She was being used as a pawn in a game of power, her pain weaponized as a performance. Something inside her shifted. For the first time, she didn't feel broken. She felt awake. That night, when Adrian and his mistress celebrated their cruelty, Elena retreated quietly to her room. She touched her belly and whispered to her unborn child, promising strength, not weakness. She knew she couldn't leave in chaos. Her husband had money, influence, and eyes everywhere. But she also knew something he didn't. When hearts are crushed, they either shatter, or they sharpen into weapons. Elena began watching closely. She noticed the way Adrian spoke about his company, how much he needed the board to admire his dominance. She noticed his mistress's hunger for luxury, her vanity, her recklessness. Piece by piece, Elena mapped the cracks in their empire. She didn't scream. She didn't fight openly. She endured, quietly building her plan. When her chance came, it was swift and merciless. Weeks later, during a gala Adrian hosted to boast about his empire, Elena slipped away unnoticed. She had gathered enough evidence, recordings of his humiliations, financial documents showing his corruption, and the livestream copies that proved his cruelty. She walked into the boardroom herself, carrying nothing but a folder and the unshakable calm of a woman who had nothing left to lose. The men and women who had watched her suffer on their screens gasped as she entered. She laid the evidence on the polished oak table and spoke, her voice steady, clear, and fierce. The man you trust to lead your company uses humiliation as currency. He has no loyalty to his family, and soon, he will have none from the world. You watched me cry. Tonight, you will watch him fall. The board turned on Adrian faster than Elena expected. They saw not strength in his cruelty, but weakness. They saw a liability, not a leader. Within days, Adrian was stripped of his power. The mansion no longer belonged to him. His empire crumbled under scandal. And the mistress who once laughed in Elena's face vanished the moment the money dried up. Elena, however, did not gloat. She did not celebrate with champagne or revengeful laughter. She simply walked into her new life with her child in her arms, carrying dignity where once there had been despair. She rebuilt herself slowly, not through wealth, but through courage, resilience, and kindness. She used her experience to support women trapped in the shadows of abusive relationships, turning her pain into a lifeline for others. And one quiet evening, as she rocked her baby to sleep in a small but warm home filled with peace, she realized the truth. The greatest revenge wasn't destruction, it was freedom. If this story touched your heart, if Elena's courage moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Every comment you leave helps us bring you more tales of resilience, heartbreak, and redemption. Speech balloon special request. Comment below, what does freedom mean to you?